This is Don't Panic Reviews, and today we're reviewing Godzilla Minus One. Godzilla Minus One is a 2023 Japanese kaiju film that was written and directed by Takashi Yamazaki, produced by the amazing Toho Studio and Robot Communications. This film actually deals with post-war Japan. That's where it's set in, and that's why it's called Minus One, because as soon as Godzilla shows up, it just gets worse. Now, I'm loving the new Godzilla design. And for the guys who are saying, oh, he's pink, let me show you something real quick. You love Shin Godzilla so much, and he turns pink. He's so hot, he's pink. It's the point. It's the whole point. But let me get back to my point. This is hands down the best version of Godzilla. The design, I didn't like the feet at first, right? But I got over that. I got over my anti-feet fetish, right? This is the best. I can't even put it into words. I should be able to put it into words. I'm doing a review. So let me explain. His size, his demeanor, his indifference, just he's a monster, right? We're used to seeing Godzilla as this ally, as a superhero pretty much, and that's what it's going to be like in Godzilla X Kong, right? But this is a Godzilla that doesn't care about people. He's not trying to protect anybody. He wants to destroy what's already been destroyed. That's all he wants to do, right? And this review is going to get into spoilers, so if you don't want to be spoiled, don't watch the review. Go see the movie if you haven't already. You should be locked in prison if you haven't. But after you see the movie, come back, right? Just do that. Now, I'm going to be completely honest. I'm not the biggest Godzilla fan. And what I mean by that is that I haven't seen all 33 films. I haven't seen the old school Japanese films. I've seen the original Godzilla for sure. I mean, you have to. If you want to be a film viewer, you have to see that movie. But I didn't follow it along. A lot of it was very campy. A lot of it was ridiculous. It was like Power Rangers, but worse. Some of them are just not good films. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. They're not that great. They're just not. They worked with what they had, and they did the best that they could, right? And there's people who enjoy those films. I don't want you to not like them because of me, right? If you enjoy those films, if you find something to enjoy completely, just enjoy the film. Don't listen to me. But I've never been a huge fan of those films. I really didn't like the American takes on Godzilla. You know, the one he just looks like an iguana, or she. She looks like an iguana. Is Godzilla a he or a she? I don't know. They're ambiguous. They're androgynous. I'm sorry. I mentioned it. I have to show it. This is the biggest piece of shit I've ever seen in my life. I thought it was cool when I was a kid, but let me fill you in on something. I was a stupid kid. I was dumb. This is potato chips that are not even crispy. They're soggy. They've been left out. They're not good. This is not good. This was terrible. This was not good. Back to the point. Again, not a huge avid fan. I don't have posters or anything. Like, I'm not an avid fan of Godzilla, but I do appreciate when they really make a good film. When good films come out, I enjoy them. The 2016, I love that one. Or was it 2014? It was with Bryan Cranston. That was a really good Godzilla film. My main complaint is there wasn't enough Godzilla. But that's not my complaint with Godzilla Minus One. There's really not a whole lot of Godzilla. It's more focused on the people experiencing post-war Japan, a kamikaze pilot, the main character, who fled. He changed his mind. He got scared, and he retreated. It's following him and his guilt, his questions about life, if his life is worth anything, if anything is worth anything. It dives deeper into that, but I don't mind that. This is the first Godzilla film that has not focused that much on Godzilla that I actually like. The characters throughout the film, they kept me in, right? I didn't get bored and I wasn't looking at my phone or like waiting for Godzilla to show up. I was excited to see him. but these characters kept me along for the ride, and I really appreciate that, because they could have gone full tilt, nothing but Godzilla destruction, but that would have just been garbage. It would have been junk food. When a movie can actually make you care about the characters and want to see where they're going, when you also have this cool giant monster that you want to see, you don't mind that he's in the background, that you can't see him. You really enjoy staying with these characters. The pilot, I cannot remember their names. I'm sorry. I just can't. But the main character, the kamikaze pilot, he takes in this woman and this child, and the child doesn't even belong to her. And he's hesitant at first. Like, he's like, I don't want a family. I don't know. He's already still deeply depressed, because before he gets back to Japan, he makes a stop at this island that Japan controls, saying that his plane doesn't work properly. And it's found out that his plane does work properly. That's when we found out, oh, he ran. He was scared. So here's spoiler territory. Godzilla shows up on the island, but it's a baby Godzilla. And I'm not talking like it's pretty giant. It's a giant Godzilla, but he's clearly at his infant stage, right? He ends up killing a lot of people on the island. There's only 2 survivors left. And he also not only feels guilty that he retreated, he also feels guilty now because he had a chance to potentially kill Godzilla because it was very young, which I don't think would have made a difference, and I'll talk about that later. But he doesn't pull the trigger, and he blames himself for these people dying. And the other person that survived on the island with him, when they're on this boat going back to Japan, he gives him this envelope full of photos of those people's families. Way to lay the guilt on thick, dude. Holy shit. I would have jumped off the boat. I would have inhaled salt water. That, I couldn't imagine dealing with that guilt. But anyways, he goes, and dealing with that guilt, he takes these girls in and helps raise this child. And throughout the story, it's just what they've had to deal with when it comes to like food and money and him trying to find a job. He gets hired on this sea mine thing, this boat, this wooden boat that they're going to diffuse or just blow up landmines or sea mines. He gets paid very well for it. Well, eventually, this Godzilla that he saw and thought would never grow bigger than it actually was, turns up. Yeah, big time. And when you see Godzilla that massive for the first time, I think he destroys a battleship very early on. They see the destruction of it, and they get hired on by the government to try to take out Godzilla in a wooden boat. They were bait. That's fucking terrible. Their government was going to like, oh yeah, you're going to die, but we need you to be a distraction. It's just a good film. It really is. That portion of the film, dealing with Godzilla itself, there's a part in the film where the government just says we can't do anything. Like the army can't do anything to deal with this. We're not allowed to. Okay, we lost the war. They're not going to let us use any of our battleships or anything like that. So it's the citizens that have to deal with Godzilla. And I think that's really cool. Not having all the equipment that you could use. Like they have a lot of good weaponry. They're not allowed to use it. They have to use their wits and just their know-how and be very creative on how to take out Godzilla. I really like that part of the film. So let's get to Godzilla. Again, best designed Godzilla by far. In the other Godzilla films that I've had complaints about where it didn't show enough Godzilla, again, not a whole lot of Godzilla. But when Godzilla does show up, it's worth it. It's absolutely worth it. They don't skimp out on how crazy and great this character is. They really go all out anytime he's there. They show you how massive he is. Because in the new Godzilla films, like with King Kong and everything like that, yeah, they're giant, they're really big. But when you're watching them on screen and they're not near anything that can show like size difference, they just look normal sized. Anytime Godzilla showed up in -1, I felt like this guy is a giant. He's massive. It's I could not imagine what it would be like to stand next to something that tall, a monster that tall. They never make him feel small ever, except when he was a baby. But after that, anytime he shows up, he is massive. It's almost like, why are you guys even trying? You can't kill him. There's a scene where they're using the mines that they have collected that they haven't blown up yet. They have 2 of them, and Godzilla is chasing them on this wooden tugboat. And they get one of the mines into his mouth, and they shoot it, and it explodes, and then his face is gone. I'm like, are they? At first, I thought, okay, what if this is the baby Godzilla, and he's giant, right? But what if there's an actual bigger Godzilla, and that's going to be the big reveal, right? That we're going to just destroy Japan now because he killed my baby. I thought they were going to go with that, which would have been kind of cool. But what they actually did, he regenerates. Zombie Godzilla. Can't die. Can't die. Won't die. Refuses to die. When I saw that, I was like, I'd give up. I'd give up. I would be like, all right, Geronimo, right into his mouth. Immediately. I'm not fucking doing this. I'm not going to allow myself to just run and have a heart attack. Make it quick. Make it quick. Chomp, 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 chomp. Make it quick. I would not want to deal with it. Ugh. There's also a scene where he's in Japan and they piss him off. You shouldn't do that, for one. The Nova breath, the nuclear blast that comes out of this mouth, we've seen it do destruction in other movies. It destroys. Yeah, it's gonna. When it impacts what it hits, a nuke goes off. Like in the name, nuclear breath or whatever, atomic breath or whatever. Atomic, maybe it's not nuclear. Well, maybe it is. But this atomic bomb goes off when he does his atomic breath. And it's the visuals. Like, I haven't seen Oppenheimer, but I've seen clips. I've seen scenes. It's not a movie that I'm like really that interested in. But seeing that, and then also seeing this $15 million budget film do the same, but with less, it makes me think, okay, people spend way too much on movies. You don't need that much money to make good movies with that good visual effects. I will say there are some scenes where I can tell he's a puppet. It's not obvious. You really have to pay attention, but you can tell. There are some cut corners in this, but again, but for $15 million, this movie is great. Out of the 33 films that they've done involving Godzilla, this is still visually the best. I know with Godzilla X Kong, it's going to be a lot of neon colors like they did with the first one. They're going to really pink and blue it and purple and orange. They're just going to mix it all together, and that's fine. But this in itself, he has the neon blue power-up spikes, whatever. But it's not pretty. It's menacing. Because, when you see it for the first time, he attempts to charge it up again when all the people come together to try to take him out. When you see him charge up that blue, you've seen what he can do with that. Now he's in the ocean with all these boats. They're just not going to make it. If he launches that thing, he's not going to make it. So I guess I can talk about the ending now. This review's all over the place. I'm sorry, this is my first review, but I just really want to express how much I love this film. It's my first movie review. That's how much I love this film. I've never reviewed movies or videos or anything like that. I love this movie so much, it made me want to make movie reviews. That says something about the film. But again, at the end, so the main character, the kamikaze pilot, he says if nothing works out, because they had these hydrogen or they had these oxygen bombs, I guess, that was going to create a bubble around Godzilla, make him go 15 meters. down into the ocean or something like that, and kill him, suffocate him, and then make him come back up and decompose him. Like something with pressure, like nothing. It doesn't matter how big you are, you can't sustain that. So the kamikaze pilot said, okay, well, if that doesn't work, I'm going to just kamikaze into his mouth with this bomb, and hopefully it kills him. So at the end, they pull off their stunt, but he's not dying. Like, he's decrepit. You see him decaying, but he's regenerating. So the kamikaze pilot, who was so ready to just, like, he was ready to die, at the close to the end, he actually has something he wants to live for. He's like, oh, I was so ready to die, but now look at these people that I love. Which the woman ends up dying. So that's when he made the choice. But he was thinking about the little girl. That was the main focus. Like, he doesn't want to orphan the little girl. He wants to live for something. So the guy that he was on the island with helps him with this ship, with this plane. Not a ship, plane. And helps him get a eject seat, which he originally was helping him with the plane because he was like, oh, I want you to kill yourself. Like, I'm only doing this because you're going to kill yourself. You're going to pay for the sins of letting our soldiers die. But he sees the value in life as well. It's such a good fucking movie. Anyways, he helps him get an ejector seat. So he flies into Godzilla's mouth. Me and my fiance, we saw it together. I was like, shit. He had so much to live for. Now this little girl has no parents. Great, wonderful. But they don't reveal that until after you see him, like, floating down on the parachute. And then it shows a little flashback scene of him showing him, like, hey, just pull this and you'll pop right out. I was so fucking relieved. I was like, oh, thank God. But Godzilla's head completely off. He starts deteriorating more, and then his ashes just pretty much fall down into the ocean. Let me tell you this. I cried not only like a little girl, but like a bitch when this next scene came on. He gets a letter at the very end where this the woman that was taking care of his little girl brings him this letter, and he reads it, and he's like, what? And I'm like, okay, what could possibly happen? Now, this part of the movie is kind of bullshit, but emotionally, I'm there for it. He goes to this hospital, and who's in the hospital? The woman. Now, I forgot to mention this part. There's a part after he does his atomic bomb. The woman that he had was taking care of a kid with got killed. She got blown away by the aftershock. And when I saw her in the bed, like, I was like, oh, wow. And I was like, she's alive. That's so awesome. And I started tearing up. When he started crying, I was like, oh my God, guys crying. It makes me cry too. But then after everything was said and done, I was like, how does she fucking live? That's horseshit. There is no way she survived. After they're hugging, you see some black, like, goo or whatever it is going up the veins of her neck, and then it stops. And then right before the credits roll, you see Godzilla's body, like mangled up hamburger meat, and then you see it start pulsating. He's not dead. He's alive. Zombie Godzilla. He can regenerate now. So there's going to be a sequel. But all in all, I know this is a ramble. I just love. I'm not professional, right? But I can tell you how much I love a film. This is one of the best films I've seen all year. Not just Godzilla film. It's one of the best films I've seen all year. It is absolutely fantastic. I actually like it better than Guardians 3. It's such a good film. If you haven't seen it yet, I'm sorry that I spoiled it for you, but I warned you. But if you don't care about spoilers and you just want to see the visual aspect of it, go see it. It's visually good. The story's great. Godzilla is the best Godzilla out there. I really appreciate this film. I'm very impressed with the budget that they had and what they were able to accomplish. Hands down, the best Godzilla film ever. And if you disagree with me, box ya. All right. This has been Don't Panic Reviews, and I will see you next time.